So what does that mean? We have power, we've taken power, we utilize our power. That's what we need to look at. How are we empowered? Now, I look at myself, surely I'm empowered, I'm powerful. Did it start when I was a young girl as a tomboy? And what I really wanted to do, and I know that one of the manifesto items with empowered women is that you really live life the way you want as you define it. So how did I want to live my life as a young girl? I was a tomboy. So I got to play baseball with the boys. So I think one of my great empowering moments was one day we were having our first practice. I'm the only girl on the team. I'm playing first base and we're having a practice. And batter gets up, he cracks it to the shortstop. The shortstop holds it for a second, the pitcher turns around, he said, throw it, she can catch it. And he whipped that ball to first base, caught it, put the guy out, and I said, yeah, that's me. Or was it when I was the only girl in the county that could do a jump shot in basketball? Now you'd have to go back way, many years ago to basketball then, because girls played on one side of the court. 3 girls on one side, 3 forwards and 3 guards on the other side, and only the forwards could shoot. So my obstacle in life was a girl who had to be, in my mind, 7 feet tall, who stood over me with her arms like this, preventing me from getting to the basket. And we played her on a recurring basis. And my dad was there watching one time, and he was a basketball player, and he said, I'm going to teach you something, because girls didn't do jump shots. He taught me how to do a jump shot, and I went up and over Mary Beth Humany and learned how to get that. So I was empowered. And surely I'm powerful. I was at one time known as one of the most powerful women in cable television. I was the CEO of World Wrestling Entertainment. I was a Wonder Woman in the cable industry. That's an award, not I didn't have wings or anything. I sit on boards. I sit across the table from network executives and negotiate deals for television distribution, not only in this country, but in countries outside of the United States. I make deals for licensed products like articulated action figures and t-shirts and hats. I sit in rooms with congressmen, and I help talk through policy issues. I gotta be empowered, right? I mean, I like the philosophy of empowerment a little bit from, nobody in this room will know who I'm talking about, given the average age. But there was a writer known as Erma Bombeck, back in the 70s and the 80s and in the 90s. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for that. And let's not get carried away now. Irma wrote a series of books, and this will tell you a little bit about her humor. One book was entitled, If Life is a Bowl of Cherries, Why Am I Always in the Pits? And then my husband brought me this book after I had delivered our second child, a little girl. And the title of this book is, The Grass is Always Greener Over the Septic Tank. Now, let me tell you why that book had a little bit of particular interest, and how it was definitely part of what we had been going through. Because yes, I've been through periods of power. But picture this. It's 1976. I'm pregnant with our second child, 7 months pregnant. It is so hot. It's a July day. We live in Hartford. We live in West Hartford, just outside Hartford, Connecticut. And Vince and I, although we had started and had some success in the wrestling business, we were encouraged by our accountant to invest in a different kind of business so all our eggs wouldn't be in one basket. So we listened to him. We invested in a construction company about which we knew nothing. It turns out the accountant wasn't all that reputable. We had signed personally on some notes. Accountant went Dixie. We're stuck with the loans. We tried for over a year to pay it off. And when we finally couldn't do it, we had to file bankruptcy. So here I am on this hot July day, 7 months pregnant. For all of you women who've ever been pregnant in the summer, you know where I'm going with this. Perspiration. I've got file folders under both arms. I go down to get in my car because my husband Vince was out of town. I was meeting him at the courthouse. We pull up in front. I go down to the car. It has a flat tire. Now, I just can't get down with the jack and do all of that day. So I call a towing service in Hartford. Tow truck comes out, big hook hanging off the back, the whole 9 yards. Guy gets there and he looks at his watch. And he says, what time do you have to be in Hartford? And I tell him. He said, I can't possibly change a tire in that length of time. So I said, are you going back to Hartford? And he said, yes. I said, can you give me a ride? Now, I climb up into a tow truck, 7 months pregnant, file folders under both arms. We pull up in front of the federal courthouse in Hartford, Connecticut, and Vince is standing on the steps, and it's like he's giving me one of these, like, is that my wife? There are no cell phones, believe in 1976. I get out of the car, and the truck, and he walks over, and he says, well, I guess now all you need to be is pregnant. Is to be barefoot, because I was clearly already pregnant. I had gone down that street. So when you think about empowerment issues, that was a day I didn't feel very empowered. We'd been knocked down. Our house went out for auction. Our car was repossessed in the driveway. We lost everything we had. And so I looked at what's going to be that little empowerment nugget for me this time. And it was the birth of this little baby girl, because I'd had a couple of problems during the pregnancy, and I thought, boy, if she's born normal and fine, that is my omen that things are going to be fine. And she was. But Vince brought me that book in the hospital, Grass is Always Greener Over the Septic Tank, which you know says, stay there because all that stuff that's in the septic tank is part of life, but the grass is going to be greener up top. So those are kinds of things that give you your empowerment. It's taking from things every day. Is it a smile from someone as small as that? Things you can put in what I call your power bank. If you do a good deed for someone, if you help someone start a business, if you help someone solve a problem, you are empowering them, which therefore you grow your own empowerment. You know, when I was looking up on different websites after Mindy had asked me to speak, I just looked up empowered women in general, not just your website, which is awesome. But I also saw a couple of other websites, and I really liked one from, I think it's called Soul Spot. And the very first one was, you've got to live the kind of life that you want to live. I'm paraphrasing. And I'm paraphrasing because what that actually said was, harder for me to remember, the translation underneath was, to own your power, you have to own your shit. Now I remembered that part. And that just means you have to not only know the good stuff, you have to know the bad stuff. You have to own it. You have to learn every day. You have to grow every day. You have to heal every day. Because this growth process of empowering yourself, allowing yourself to be empowered, and empowering others can sometimes be painful. You don't always meet with success. More often than not, you meet with failure. But just like Vince and I, when we went through our bankruptcy, we knew we had to get back up, just had to get going again. You had to start again. You had to put one foot in front of the other, and you just couldn't let it get you down. Because that's like life, right? Every day you've got to put one foot in front of the other. So, what are many of you dealing with in here today? Do you want to be leaders in your community? Are you at mid-management levels and you want to get to the C-suite? You want to know how to go in and talk to your boss about asking for a raise or a promotion? You want to know how to get financing or funding for that company that you're starting? You're running for office. You want to know how to get elected. Maybe you shouldn't ask me that because I ran twice but I didn't get elected. But I clearly know the process of that. And so women's empowerment is really about helping you be a leader, helping us be leaders, in our communities. Because I don't think that there's anything that any of us want to do less than to be a leader. Being a leader is also being a good follower. It's being a good listener. It's understanding what the issues are. And I can't impress upon you enough that this whole process of networking and communicating and sharing thoughts and ideas with women, because somehow we often need a little bit of wind beneath our wings. We don't, for some reason, go in as confident as guys do. And I don't know why that is, except this generation is clearly in a different place. My granddaughters are clearly in a different place. But when I grew up, you know, what did you learn in school? You focused on the things that made you good at being a homemaker. You know, you learned how to cook, you learned how to sew. You might go into business, but that was kind of an anomaly. A lot of girls my age became teachers. I majored in French in college. Look where that got me. I married this guy. And boy, did we go off on a whole different path. But sharing what you're feeling, what you're experiencing, calling each other, that is so, so important. And when you leave this conference tomorrow, and by the way, I've seen the lineup tomorrow. I won't be here, unfortunately, but I've seen your lineup for tomorrow. Boy, Mindy's done an awesome job in putting together a great, great program. And it's bing, 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 bing. I mean, sometimes you've got 15 minutes, 3 speakers, they get 5 minutes each. It's really pounding in there. So have on your listening ears tomorrow and be prepared to enjoy it. But if I can just give you, a few little nuggets of wisdom, because I don't think speakers ought to speak a whole long time in front of a group that's trying to have a good cold beer and listen to some good music. So I just want to wrap it up a little bit by going back again to Erma Bombeck. There were 2 things, and she said that if in life she could do something over again, she would grab every minute. She'd put it on. She'd squeeze it. She would do everything to get every second out of it, and she would not give that minute back until she'd gotten everything out of it that she could. I think that's a great philosophy to have. And I'll leave you with the last thought that I just love. She said, if I could stand in front of God and say, I can't give you any of the talent back that you gave me because I used every bit of it. So go forth, use every bit of your talent. Grab your minutes, try them on, squeeze every bit that there is out of it, and your grass will be greener over the septic tank. Thank you all very, very much.